You know, I got the day off from work today. Wonder if I should get back to sleep. What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And yes, it is here, the return of 5 Questions with Levi. Instead of it being considered canon from the old episodes, this is the brand new episode 1 of 5 Questions with Levi. I'm hoping I can keep this series going for good. Hopefully is the key word. So every Thursday, it will be a new episode. This week, it's episode 1 already. Right as soon as the video came out, I got 4 questions, and then later on, I got an extra one. So, answering the first 5 questions from that previous video, and a reminder for all you guys out there who want to ask me questions for future episodes. Let's say for episode 2, ask them in the comments section below of this video only. The first 5 questions I see in the comments will be the ones that will be answered on the following video. Without further ado, let's do it! Keith Miller Jr. asks, for question 1, who do you think will be the biggest surprise and disappointment in each of the 3 series? Well, if this is NASCAR oriented, even though I ain't watching this year, I guess I'll say something. For me, biggest surprise in the Cup Series, I'm going to go with Erik Jones. In the 43 car, yeah, it may sound like a lesser pairing, but let's keep this in mind. There have been weirder things that have happened in the past. You know, let's say Logano, for example. He goes from Joe Gibbs to, at the time, a lesser team in Penske, and ever since then, he's won at least once every year since. Let's say Kurt Busch, he goes from Stewart-Haas to Ganassi, and he's still performing very, very well. What other examples could I go for here? Those would be the examples off the top of my head. So I would look for Erik Jones to be the big surprise for 2021 in the Cup Series. I'd say he could win a race in that 43 car, but only time will tell. Biggest surprise for Xfinity? I'm going to say the big surprise for Xfinity would be Justin Haley breaking out of just winning on the plate tracks and start winning at other places. I would go with Justin Haley. For trucks, trucks, that's a tougher one to think about. I guess I would go with Todd Gilliland. I guess we could see him finally win a race in that 38 truck. We'll see about that. Now, for disappointments, I think the big disappointment in Cup, not just because I don't like the guy, but also people are expecting him to just suddenly become the best driver out there. I'm going to say Bubba Wallace. I don't see him doing really hardly much in that 23 car. That's just me. For Xfinity, I'm going to go with, I guess for big disappointment in Xfinity, I'm going to go with Noah Gragson. I don't expect him to do better than he did last season. But then again, you know, Daytona, anybody can win Daytona, and the only reason he got Bristol was because he had to wreck his own teammate. Don't think I've forgotten about you Gragson fanboys who defended that crap. Screw you. And then for trucks disappointment, I'm going to say Austin Hill. I mean, I'd like to see him do better, but after he got robbed of the championship last season, I don't expect him to be anywhere near as good. I'm hoping I'm wrong, but we'll see. But you never know what happens anymore. Blech. Question number 2 from BlazeLife334. He asks, what's your opinion on Chase Elliott winning the championship in 2020? If anything, it's forcing down our throats how this championship format is completely and utterly flawed. Nothing against Chase Elliott as a human being or as a driver, but that was Kevin Harvick's championship. This is like Chase. Let's look at him versus Harvick. Harvick with 9 wins and an average finish of 7.3. Chase Elliott, what, 4 wins? and like an average finish of like 12.9, something like that. There's no comparison. Harvick was clearly the better driver in 2020 and was hands down the best driver in all 3 series last year. But yeah, Harvick didn't even get a chance to compete for the championship because we have to have a contrived championship format that has done more harm than good to the sport. And the sooner they get rid of it, the better things will get. But, I mean, Chase, I mean, everybody knows he was not a deserving champion last year. Not even close. Maybe top 5, but not the champion. That was Kevin Harvick's title. Moving on. For question 3, some guy asks, what's my opinion on Pantera? I think Pantera is one of the best metal bands to come out of America. And I know a lot of people don't like Pantera for whatever reason. Other than the shenanigans with Phil Anselmo, I guess. But musically, I don't get how anybody can hate Pantera. They know how to write great riffs, great beats, great lyrics, great vocal patterns. Everything about them was great back during the 90s. I mean, yeah, you had the 80s period where they started out as more of a Van Halen club glam band before the end of the 80s where they went more traditional metal, and then you get to 1990 where they pretty much helped to invent groove metal along with X-Horder. And I know a lot of people in the mainstream media want to contribute Pantera for saving metal in the 90s, but in reality, metal was still thriving, but it was in the underground. Whereas in the mainstream, yeah, it wasn't doing as well as it was in the 80s, other than Pantera, Megadeth, and Metallica. And yeah, Pantera did help to keep mainstream metal going, especially in the extreme variety. Like, you listen to Far Beyond Driven, one of the heaviest albums of the decade, and it went to number 1 on the Billboard charts. Like, if that isn't something to be impressed by, I don't know what is. And also, Dimebag Darrell, one of the greatest guitar players in heavy metal history, may he rest in peace. Vinnie Paul, one of the best drummers in metal, may he rest in peace. Say what you will about Phil Anselmo and his antics, but he's got an amazing vocal range. He can do lows, he can do highs, he can growl, he can scream. He can do it all. Rex Brown often gets overlooked. He's a great bass player. And, I mean, albums like Cowboys from Hell, Vulgar Display of Power, Far Beyond Driven, and even The Great Southern Trendkill. Those albums in the 90s, all 4 of them, were great. My favorite of the 4 being Cowboys from Hell, because it was a little more thrashy than the rest. But my opinion on Pantera, great band, and anybody who's looking into getting into metal, Pantera would be a good band to start with. Especially in the more extreme variety, Pantera would be a good place to begin. Question number 4, Red Racer 1985 asks, you mentioned NoDQ.com being your go-to spot for all things wrestling. Where's your go-to spot or spots excuse me, for metal music news? Well, first off, I don't really go to NoDQ.com anymore. I don't really go to any wrestling news sites hardly that much anymore. I'll hear about what's going on through my buddies in the Shadow Call podcast or seeing stuff on YouTube. But as far as my go-to spot or spots for metal music news, as far as like album releases, I go to metalstorm.net and go to the upcoming releases section. That's where I get my news about what's coming out for albums within a certain month or year or what have you. But also, there could be news coming out from like Loudwire, Metal Injection, Banger TV, or all kinds of places. Whatever pops up on my computer about metal, that's where I get it from. But for metal albums, it's metalstorm.net. And it's a good place, and it's a great website too. I'd recommend you check it out. And then finally, for question 5 from Dale E988, with Metallica, Slipknot, Avenged Sevenfold, etc. reportedly working on albums, which band are you most looking forward to releasing a new album? If you're talking about 2021, well, I mean, we've already had 2 of them, Asphyx and Accept, and both of those albums were amazing. But other albums coming out this year, well, already we got a couple big ones. Cannibal Corpse coming out in April. Finally, a new Evil album coming out in April, and the first single for that was already released, the title track, Hell Unleashed. I might pre-order that album now that I think about it. But other albums, the big one that was supposed to come out last year, but they delayed it. The new Carcass album, Torn Arteries. I can't wait. I'm hoping they release it this year. They released an amazing EP last October, the Despicable EP. It was a great EP, but I want more. And I know they've got a whole album coming. I just want to hear it. It was supposed to have been out on my birthday last year, and it didn't come out because they delayed it due to the stupidity going on in the world. But hopefully Torn Arteries finally sees the light of day here in 2021. I would love to hear a new Triptychon album. I know Broken Hope's supposed to release new music. I don't know if it's a full album or an EP, but something's coming this year from Broken Hope. Maybe new Immolation, maybe new Suffocation, maybe new Dying Fetus, maybe some new Judas Priest could come out this year, maybe some Iron Maiden, hopefully a new Megadeth album, new Anthrax album, new Exodus. There's a lot of bands out there that could release albums this year or next year, depending on. But yes, Metallica is working on a new one. Avenged Sevenfold's been working on a new one forever, and I'm hoping it gets greenlit this year. But yeah, there's just so much out there to keep up with. And that does it for episode 1 of the return of 5 questions with Levi. As a reminder, if you want to ask me a question for next week's episode, send those questions in the comments section below. Remember, 1 question per user. First 5 I see that were sent will be the ones answered next week. But until next time, horns high, and I will see you soon.
Oh no!
Oh my god!
No, please! No, please! I beg you!
Are you
Listen! We have an understanding! I don't like you! Just accept...
Tails, it's time for you to die! Tails, come back here! Tails,
Yeah, of course.
come back here!
Mia.
Again? Wow.
Wow.
This is the most action I've gotten.
Quit sniffing assholes and come stay feet.
Yeah! Knew it! Knew it!
Oh, no! God, I told you, man.
Wow. Wow.